Hey guys, welcome back to Mindset Madness. In today's video, we're going over the 12 signs you have genius level intelligence. Make sure to watch to the end to find out about the number one sign that shows everyone you're a genius. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think in the comments below. Alright, let's dive in. Number 12, the natural observer. Most people love to talk about themselves. They'll ramble for half an hour about all their funny little quirks, but very few people are interested in listening more than talking. If you have genius level intelligence, you are probably more attentive than the ordinary person. When you engage in a conversation, you're not merely thinking about what you'll say next. You're not attempting to bolster your ego. Instead, you're truly interested in the other person. You're detecting patterns in their speech and body language. You're paying attention to every aspect and coming up with fresh and fascinating ways to spice up the conversation. The brightest minds are seldom in the spotlight. They're quiet and careful listeners who spend much of their time just soaking in the sights and sounds of the world. Next up is number 11, self-control. For most individuals, self-discipline requires years of practice. But for genius people, controlling their impulses is not a problem. They understand how to control their emotions and restrain their unhealthy cravings. They are good at creating a balance between spontaneity and discipline. The ability to regulate your emotions also allows you to live a healthy lifestyle surrounded by inspiring people. Routines and hobbies are so common among intelligent people. Consider you find out something about your personality that needs improvement, and you don't just let it go. You work to find a long-term solution and make major adjustments to your mentality and behavior. This is a sign that you are a genius because bright people are always self-conscious and have good control over their nerves. On number 10, we have seeking specificity. In 2011, some researchers started working on an experiment to determine if genius people think differently than normal people. So, they started with a very simple thing. They checked if normal people made similar assumptions like the genius people. To test this idea, they put forward two kinds of assumptions, one overfitting and the other underfitting. So, what do these terms mean? Overfitting is when you know something very specific that fits one situation really well, but it doesn't really make sense anywhere else. Here, we have a good example for you. Consider you love the English language, but there's a catch. You have no prior knowledge of the language. But you know that William Shakespeare was a famous writer, so you lock yourself up in a room with books written by William, and after years, you come out and go to London and greet the first man you see with "Good dawning to thee." What can you expect? You are muttered with slandering words and called crazy. That's a perfect example of an overfitting assumption. Now, we come to the underfitting part. It is just the opposite of overfitting. It's like you make an assumption that is general in its nature and is accepted by a big number, but it won't be helpful. Okay, let's just say you want to study cats. You gather some data from shelters and breeders. After analyzing, you come to a conclusion that all cats have at least one thing in common. They all have 4 legs. Well, you could generalize that assumption to the entire population, but it doesn't really tell you anything specific, does it? But what do Shakespeare and cats have to do with the intelligence of genius people? Well, when the results of the experiment were out, it turned out that genius people made overfitting assumptions. Yes, that means that they are very specific in every situation. They tend to think of many ways in which they can do even a simple task. They have a specific approach to every problem, and their views are generally not accepted by others. Next, we have number 9, flying solo. If you have a genius level intellect, you probably like being alone. Many intelligent people have no problem flying solo because they put their alone time to good use. Perhaps you have a vivid imagination, you enjoy organizing your interests, or you simply spend a lot of time thinking about life in general. In any case, as an intellectual person, you rarely need other people to entertain you. But that doesn't mean that you're antisocial or a complete introvert. It just means that when it comes to finding a good way to spend your time, you don't turn to anybody but yourself. Next, we have number 8, focus. When highly intelligent people get in the zone, it's hard to pull them out. If you are one of them, then you can focus for hours at a time, diving right into your passion. You are only satisfied after you've achieved your goal. And we are not just talking about focusing for a short time, but once you set your goals, that nobody can stop you from achieving them. This incredible level of concentration is one big reason why intelligent people get their work done efficiently. But that doesn't mean that you are focused on everything. Intelligent individuals have a tremendous focus on the things they love, but they become bored with the things that they don't care about. The next thing on our list is number 7, creative clutter. While a messy room or workstation might hinder productivity, untidy individuals are more imaginative and bright. This concept has been discussed for some time, but new research put the power of creative clutter to the test. Participants in their experiments sat at one of 2 desks. The first was spotless and well organized, but the second was a total mess. It was cluttered with random papers, office supplies, and distracting items. Participants were given a ping pong ball and told to think of creative ways to utilize it while sitting at their workstations. It could be something simple like a paperweight or something odd like a finger hat. The researchers were only interested in how many ideas people might generate. People sitting at cluttered workstations came up with much more ideas in the end. They were more creative and thought outside the box. This indicates that messiness and creative intelligence go hand in hand. But again, this doesn't mean that they are not self-conscious. They only scatter things to find out new ideas. This doesn't mean they don't practice good hygiene. Next, we have number 6, debating. You can debate about anything if you have a genius-level intelligence. It doesn't matter if you don't know much about the issue. One small fact may keep a heated debate going for hours, since you can draw all sorts of logical conclusions from it. You can do more with one tiny detail than most people can with pages and pages of information. Intelligent people are excellent debaters because their thoughts shift and develop connections at a lightning speed. They are creative and flexible problem solvers who aren't afraid to make a point and stick to it. They have faith in their own intelligence and they know how to figure things out just as well as anybody else. They can debate over anything at any time. If you possess these qualities, then you are a genius and there's no doubt about it. The 5th on our list is emotionally intelligent arguments. While you can effectively argue on any topic, you also know when to push and when to back down. You don't yell at your opponent and scold him. You don't personalize things or attempt to break them apart. Even during an argument, highly intelligent people understand how to remain sensitive and courteous. Assume you're having an argument with a friend. You may have all the resources to prove them wrong, yet you recognize that this subject is more important to them than it is to you. So instead of damaging your friendship, you get your point over without making your buddy feel attacked or disregarded. Knowing when to draw your punches is a rare and valuable skill. So, if you know how to handle such situations and do this regularly, you may possess genius intellect. Number 4, the big questions. Do you spend hours thinking about how time works or how was the universe created? If you do, you're probably more intelligent than you realize. People with a genius-level intellect enjoy the confusion and uncertainty of these impossible questions. They want to know the answers, but they don't want someone to tell them what to believe. They want to figure that all out by themselves. This should come as no surprise, given that all investors and scientists have had similar thoughts. Newton discovered gravity simply by studying the apple. He would have asked himself 1,000 questions about how that apple fell from the tree. Well, that means if you have a genius-level intellect, you will be more curious than people around you. Number 3, spends less time on the phone. Social media usage has become hugely popular, especially among younger generations. They think it's strange to have a conversation over a call, but using social media 24/7 can harm your intelligence because it causes something called infomania, which means you're constantly absorbing new information without really processing anything. This has a very negative effect because the brain isn't getting the exercise it needs to grow and develop. So, if you don't spend much time on your phone, you probably have a high IQ. Phones are found to be harmful to sleep. They mess up your sleep schedule. Lack of sleep lowers the IQ. In chronic cases, sleep deprivation can result in IQ loss of 15 points, or even more. This puts the user in a lower category of mental capacity. Next, we have number 2, twisted sense of humor. Do people tell you that your jokes are weird or offensive? It turns out that having a twisted sense of humor is a strong sign of intelligence. This was revealed by a study at the University of Vienna. First, researchers had participants listen to a range of jokes, some of which were light puns, and others were nasty and way over the line. Participants scored each joke based on how hilarious they thought it was, providing researchers with insight into their overall sense of humor. The researchers next needed to evaluate their brain power because if their hypothesis was correct, persons who liked the most offensive jokes would also have the highest IQs. So they rated each participant's intellect using a set of verbal and nonverbal intelligence tests. People with warped senses of humor scored much higher as predicted. So if your jokes don't usually sit well with the people, I've got some excellent news. You may be a genius with a high IQ. Thanks for staying put to the end. Now it's time for the number 1, the genetics. According to a twin study done in the early 2000s, your genetics contribute to a portion of your intelligence. Around 500 numbers of your genes have a huge impact on your brain development. For example, if your frontal lobe is larger than average, you should be grateful to your strong genetic pool, as genetics play a huge role in your intelligence. Parents may actually pass on cognitive skills to their children, such as memory and reasoning. To put it another way, if you come from a long line of intelligent people, you would almost certainly follow in their footsteps. Well, that brings us to the end of the video. If you want to learn even more, then be sure to check out the following video about habits smart people do every day. Thanks for subscribing to Mindset Madness, and see you in the next video.